Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. Black Friday PC builds are finally here, and despite rising RAM prices, we're going to show you insane deals to get great gaming PC builds at various price levels, starting off with an $800 1440p gaming PC that's going to surprise you in terms of its performance. Then we'll jump out to a $1,250 1440p absolute destroyer, sporting some of the higher end GPUs available right now. We'll finish off with an $1,800 gaming PC with an X3D CPU and super high-end GPU to destroy the latest titles at 1440p or 4K. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by Seasonic, who many consider the gold standard in PC power supplies. I recommend Seasonic PSUs because they're built to last and perform under load. For PC enthusiasts looking for ultimate performance, Seasonic's flagship Prime TX lineup delivers. ATX 3.1 and PCIe 5.1 compatible with 1300 and 1600 watt versions for maximum power needs. The Prime TX PSUs now come with updated 12-volt 2x6 cables for increased safety and reliability with RTX 50 series GPUs. And Seasonic's digital fan control means the PSU stays cool and quiet under load. If you are looking for no compromises performance in power, thermals, and noise, check out the Seasonic Prime TX 1300 and TX 1600 using the link in the video description. So a lot of people are asking me, Jason, why are you recommending building a gaming PC for Black Friday if they've been thinking about it anytime between now and the next year, given the fact that RAM prices are exploding right now because AI data centers are eating all the RAM up out there, and we've even seen SSD price increases as well. Very simple reason, yes, despite the fact that these RAM prices are going up, these are still the lowest RAM prices we're likely to see for quite some time. Even if the AI bubble bursts tomorrow, it would probably take about a year for RAM prices to get back to where we kind of used to see them. So these prices are likely going to continue to go up. And at the same time, next year, we're already seeing some rumors that they're going to axe budget graphics cards due to the VRAM price increase. At the very minimum, we're likely to see higher GPU prices than we have right now. GPU prices are at or below MSRP for the entire lineup of all the cards out there right now, except for the RTX 5090. And check this out. We've got massive Black Friday deals. Black Friday deals here starting on November 20th, the day this video should be coming out. I'm filming just before it. There's never been a better time to offset the cost of building gaming PC and these higher RAM costs than right now. And certainly these deals are not going to last. Let's jump into the $800 build. And this has 32 gigabytes of system RAM, 32 gigs of system RAM. Now I finished out right now at $820.60. And I decided to go with a slightly better SSD because there's a pretty good deal on right now for a little bit more. But we'll get into some of the deals where you might be able to save some money. And we'll also talk about areas where you might be able to kind of buff up the build if you want to go a little bit stronger, especially with the CPU. Let's start off where else the GPU. Now, obviously, we're going to go with the best budget 1440p graphics card in 2025, which is the RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte. Right now, and frankly, for quite some time, you've been able to get it for the MSRP of $349 if you want to buy the MSRP model, the Power Color Reaper one. However, we continually see during big sales like Amazon Prime Day previously that while the GPU itself doesn't come any lower than $349, you'll see some of those higher end overclock models, particularly by XFX, drop all the way down to the MSRP. So rather than paying, $30 or $40 more for the higher end overclock models, you'll probably pay $349. That's what I would target for this. Although honestly, if you picked up the Power Color Reaper one, you'd be doing pretty good. Now, your NVIDIA alternative here has actually gotten a lot juicier in the last couple days because there's at least one here at Newegg that you can get an RTX 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte for $399. That's after a $20 mail-in rebate. We posted this deal. Fingers crossed it sticks around, and it is possible that we'll see some of the other 5060 Ti 16 gigabytes come down around that price point. However, we've heard that because of increasing memory prices, this GPU may not get as big of a discount as I think they were originally planning. So this might be it here at $399. Again, pretty good price. That $50 difference is kind of right on the edge of the decision point between the two. So how much FPS can you get for about $850 for Black Friday? Well, here you go. This is TechSpot's RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte review data. You can see both the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte and the 9060 XT 16 gigabyte. roughly equal performance across 18 games at ultra details at 1440p. And remember, if you play these games at high details, or you just basically turn down the quality a little bit, you should get a lot more FPS, including in those esports titles we're gonna run at more basic settings. The only thing I'll caution here is our Hardware Connects did test a couple of esports titles versus the 9060 XT and 5060 Ti, and they found that for a couple of those titles, the 9060 XT 16 gigabyte didn't do quite as well as they expected. It was still good FPS, but it wasn't quite as competitive with the 5060 Ti. Again, it was a handful of titles, probably need some driver updates, but you can take that into account. For the rest of the build, you have a lot of different options. Now, I went super low cost here with the Ryzen 5500. Now, some people, Jason, I thought you said don't buy the CPU anymore in 2025. Yes, because I was expecting the new GPUs to all require PCIe Gen 4 or higher to get the most out of them, but good news is that the RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte came in and it uses all 16 lanes of the GPU connector, so it actually works really well with a CPU like this. That's why if you do go with a CPU, would probably steer away from the 5060 Ti, which only uses 8 of the 16 lanes on the connector there. But you could also, instead of going for something like this, $75 with an included Ray Stealth cooler, by the way, which is all you need to get this thing going, you could, of course, look for a 5600. I expect that CPU probably will come down to about $110, $120 if you can find it. 5800 XT comes with a really great cooler and has often gone for $140. Or your Intel options here are like the i5-12400, or even possibly a 14600K for like $150 paired with a DDR4 motherboard out there, which would be insane value. If we go with the AM4 route here instead, there are tons of AM4 motherboards on sale right now for around $75. I just picked one at random here. This is the Gigabyte B550M Gaming X Wi-Fi 6. It's just a budget tier motherboard. It's got pretty decent rear panel USB connectivity, but there's like the MSI Pro VDH Wi-Fi and a lot of other boards out there. You're just looking for one with a decent VRM heatsink. For the RAM right now, it's anywhere between $130 and about $150 to get 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM at pretty good speeds, either 3200 CL16 or 3600 CL18. Either one of those will work just fine. If you need to cut some costs here, for instance, you could, of course, for about $80, pick up a 16 gigabyte kit. That's still enough from most games in 2025, though it is getting pretty tight. In terms of the drive, I had a slightly better deal in here that unfortunately expired as I was filming it. So I just went with a good standby here, which is the Silicon Power A60 1 terabyte for $78. Now, this is an area, despite the fact that, yes, you can see NVMe prices have come up about $20 per terabyte since about a month or two ago. They're still not completely outrageous, and it is one area that I do expect to see some deals around Black Friday. Now, for the PC case, I expect you're gonna have tons and tons of options. PC cases often go on sale for crazy, crazy low prices, but here's a good standby. Even if you don't get a deal, the BitPhoenix Nova Mesh. I love this case. We've used it in a number of builds. The 3 included ARGB fans are fantastic. They're 3 pins, so they're completely controllable. I know there's like the Montech X5 and the X5M out there. I'm not a big fan of that case just because it uses 100% fan speed fans on them. You can't actually control the fan speed. Don't really love that. I would go with something like this instead. For the PSU, we don't really need more than 600 watts. We're using very power efficient CPUs and, of course, a very power efficient GPU on top of that. We're just going to get a C-tier rated PSU on the SPL PSU tier list, like the Previa Prestige here, 600 watt for just $52. All told, for just about $820 US, you are going to get an amazingly performative 1440p gaming PC with 32 gigs of system RAM on it, 32 gigs of system RAM, and you're going to get a GPU capable of 1440p in all the latest titles with future-proof 16 gigs of VRAM, and you're going to get probably even better deals than I'm showing here. Let's jump into that $1,250 Black Friday build, and I think you're gonna get phenomenal 1440p gaming out of this one right here, especially at high frame rates. And I'm gonna give you a lot of options at the CPU in particular, and the GPU, just really gonna depend on the deals that you can find. I finished out $1,256.82. Remember, that's before any massive deals out there, but let's jump into what else the GPU. Now, you might be surprised to see that I went with the RTX 5070 on this, and that's because the 5070 has had massive discounts in the last couple days. It's down to right here at Walmart $489, but the lowest price one's actually over at Newegg $479 after a $20 rebate, and that's for the MSI Ventus, a pretty nice model. Now, this is a little bit more plasticky and everything, but honestly, still a good performer out there. And I do still feel confident that 12 gigabytes of VRAM is enough for 1440p gaming now and in the future in terms of rasterization. If you want higher end ray tracing, spend more money and get a 5070 Ti, which by the way also got a big price cut. But if you're looking for rasterized 1440p gaming, you're looking for the wider DLSS4 game adoption out there, I think this is a great option. Now, if you're like, Jason, I do really want 16 gigs of VRAM, I think AMD is making a decent argument here right now. This is before any of the massive Black Friday deals. I'm seeing $539. Yeah, I know, big deal. $10 off the ASRock Challenger. That's an MSRP model at $549. I'm seeing a lot of other MSRP models out there, including the Power Color Reaper. We have seen the Hellhound continuously get price cuts over the last couple of sales periods, so keep your eye out for that as well. But what are you going to get in terms of FPS for about $1,250 to $1,300, depending on which GPU you decide to go with? Well, here we are. Here is the Tex Power Up Sapphire Pulse RX 96 EXT 16 gigabyte review, because that's what we did for the last build. Let's see how much more FPS we're going to get here. If we jump all the way up to the 5070, we can see pretty big increase out there, almost what, a 40% increase in terms of FPS, almost 50% I should say. And if we jump up to the 9070, again, slightly higher performance GPU out there, we're getting a nice sizable performance increase. Not only that, we're actually going to upgrade the CPU platform as well. I just want to throw this in here because the platform we're going to use is plenty for a 9070 XT. And if you were considering going that direction, it is only $60 more. If we take a look at the FPS now with that, it's actually quite a bit better than the 9070 or 5070. Again, for that extra $60 or so, what do you get? You get pretty decent level of performance increase out there, and you still do get that 16 gigs of VRAM. Let's jump through the rest of the platform. We just need a CPU that's not going to bottleneck our GPU, and honestly, any of the Ryzen 5 AM5 CPUs are plenty for this, as long as they're not the 8000 series. So I've got right now in here the 7600X at $182, kind of as a placeholder. Honestly, if you had to buy it for this price, you wouldn't really mind it. It might get down to that $150 price that we've seen before. I would pick the cheaper of the 7500F, 7600, 7600X, or 9600X, because honestly, they all have roughly the same level of performance. There's only about a $10 difference. Obviously, jump up a CPU tier if you want, because you do get slightly better gaming performance out of them. One CPU to keep your eye on, though, if you're open to going Intel, is the i5-14600K, because you can use that with a DDR4 motherboard and probably save quite a bit of money on the RAM portion of it, which we'll talk about in just a second. For the cooler, if we go Ryzen 5, you honestly don't need much of a CPU cooler. You can get away with a budget tower air cooler really easily. We went with the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Pro, ARGB, it's black, it's got RGB, it looks phenomenal. It's really all you need to cool the CPU, but you can go with any single tower air cooler out there that we've recommended in the past, id Cooling SE214XT, any of the Thermalright lineup, etc. If you do go with like a bigger Ryzen 7 CPU, maybe the 9700X or 7700X goes on super sale, or the i5-14600K goes on sale, I would just use a dual tower cooler. Now for the motherboard, right now I'm seeing insane deals on B650 motherboards out there that they're trying to close out. They are trying to close out B650. They'll still support them for years, but they're not going to offer them new any longer. And right now for $109, you can get a motherboard like the Gigabyte B650M Gaming Plus Wi-Fi. Now I do expect even better deals than we're seeing on motherboards right now. However, they are really good. I would, especially on B850 motherboards, I don't know how much cheaper they're gonna get. The only difference between these motherboards and B850 is most B850s come with a PCIe Gen 5 GPU slot. Really doesn't make a big difference for the GPUs that we're talking about here. Probably will never make a difference in the life of the motherboard. So if you don't want to spend the extra money, you don't have to feel compelled to. Here's our real sticking point, is the RAM. Now I've gone with a kit of RAM that is kind of expensive for right now, that I wouldn't necessarily recommend because it's $214. And right now I'm still seeing kits at $180. That's the starting point for DDR5. Check out our best Black Friday RAM buying guide, because we go through exactly how to do this. You don't really need anything better than 5600 CL40, 6000 CL40 RAM out there. If you look at the gaming performance difference, it's not that big, especially with the GPUs that we're talking about and the resolutions that we're talking about. I've gone $214 here just to kind of hedge a little bit, but honestly, if you have to spend up to $250, you just have to spend $250 right now. You're gonna get savings elsewhere. For the drive, I just wanted to highlight a different 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Any of the budget non-DRAM drives are absolutely fine. $79. I am seeing some DRAM drives on sale that are going to hit during the Black Friday period that might be around this price, so just keep your eye out for some good deals. For the case, I like the Thermaltake View 170TG. It's a little expensive at $69 here, by the way, but it's a nice case. It's got the 2 side intake fans, then you can add 2 additional fans on the top, and it's got the 1 rear exhaust fan. It's a nice kind of roomier case for a more kind of beefy build like this. $69, not a bad price. For the power supply, this is actually a pretty good deal. This is the Montech Century 2. We don't need 850 watts. It's A tier rated on the SPL PSU tier list. It's on for $82 right now, and it's actually a better deal than any of the 750 watt PSUs that I would consider for this, so we went with this. So for $1,256.82, that's before any other deals right now, you're gonna get an amazingly performative 1440p gaming PC with plenty of GPU power to power the latest titles at 1440p high frame rates. You're gonna pick up 32 gigs of system RAM without breaking the entire bank, and you're gonna get that future upgradability of AM5. So for $1,250, it's a pretty good deal. All right, let's jump into that $1,800 1440p or frankly 4K absolute destroyer out there. You're gonna get a heck of a gaming PC with an X3D CPU and a high-end graphics card and 32 gigs of system memory, high-end SSD. I finished out at $1,811.89, and honestly, I could see some even better deals out there coming down the pike. But let's jump into what else, the GPU, because you have a couple different options here now. I just decided to go with the ASRock Steel Legend Dark RX 9070 XT 16 gig. You can go with the MSRP models. There's like the Power Color Reaper. There's the ASRock Challenger model. I went with this one because it has ARGB on the top, and it's actually ARGB. It's not just an LED light. I like this one quite a bit. You can also get the all white one for the same price. I do expect these probably will see some deals out there. Maybe some of these higher end models are going to come down close to the MSRP. I don't know how much below MSRP this is going to get though. Now your NVIDIA option here has gotten some huge discounts. I'm fingers crossed this is going to make it to the time that the video goes live, because right now it does look like it might be selling out. That is the RTX 5070 Ti. This is a PNY version. Now it's only available at Walmart right now for $699. This is likely the cheapest that you will see the 5070 Ti. If it sells out at this price, I would expect the cheapest it will probably get is about $720 elsewhere. But it's an option out there. But what you're probably asking is, Jason, how much more FPS do I get for like $100, $120? Well, let's check that out. TechSpot recently did a really phenomenal thing. I'll leave a link down in the video description. You can go through everything. Not only did they compare the 5070 Ti, the 9070 XT, 9070, and 5070, they compared using different upscalers as well. Quality, balance, performance, DLSS4 versus FSR4. And essentially what they found is that the RX 9070 XT, same performance level as the 5070 Ti when you take in, even when you take into account, I should say, FSR. They did say that FSR4 gave slightly higher performance boost than DLSS4, but roughly that put them on par with each other. The 9070 and 5070, you can take a look at the numbers here for comparison to the previous build. I do just want to quickly mention today, AMD announced that there will be a launch of FSR Redstone. That is their kind of next generation upscaler, mostly for ray tracing it seems, but we may get some improvements to FSR4 as well. That's going to launch on December 10th. All right, let's jump through the rest of the build. And right now, I would probably go with the Ryzen 7800X 3D. It is selling for $396, and people are like, Jason, last month it was going for like $340. Will we see big discounts on this CPU again? I'm not 100% sure. I think we will. However, this is a highly desirable gaming CPU out there. It is just as likely to sell out. Honestly, $396, not a terrible price for it when you consider this CPU launched for like $450. But if the Ryzen 9800X 3D, which currently right now is selling for about $70 more, gets a little bit closer in price, I would probably switch over to the 9800X 3D, just spend an extra $50. I do just want to point out that at Newegg, if you have access to Newegg, they are selling this bundled with a high performance 240mm all-in-one liquid cooler. That's the Montech HyperFlow 240. It's only a little bit more expensive. It's $15 more, but you get the cooler, which is a really nice cooler with it. So consider some of the combo options that Newegg is presenting out there as well. In our example, I went with the Amazon one, and I picked up the id Cooling FX360 Infinity Mirror for $80. This is a pretty high performance cooler. It's nice and quiet. It looks phenomenal. We've used this, I think, in our 7800X 3D gaming PC build earlier this year. We absolutely loved it. I used the all white version. You can get this in white or black. It looks phenomenal and is a great performer for just $80, but it often goes on sale for as low as $50 to $60. For the motherboard, I went with the MSI Mag B850 Tomahawk Max. Now, this is one where I'm seeing a lot of discounts on the higher end B850 and even X870 and X870E motherboards. So just kind of keep your eyes open. Right now, this is about a $40 discount over where this motherboard typically sells for. Pretty good deal. It's a great performer, very similar to the B850 Tough that I've been recommending. And right now it's the same price as the what I had considered the best value B650E Tough Dash Plus out there. So right now, as prices stand, I would probably pick this up. But if you do want to spend another $30 or $40, you can also get X870E out there. I just don't overspend on your motherboard, because remember, we're trying to make up for some of those RAM prices. Speaking of which, I went with the same kit I did for the previous one. Everything still applies out there. $215 is about what you probably end up spending. And especially with an X3D CPU, you do not need super tight or super fast RAM with this thing. Those X3D CPUs care a lot less about RAM timings and RAM speed than the non-X3D CPUs. Kind of a weird inversion, right? Because they have so much V-cache. RAM is very often not the bottleneck for anything that they're doing out there. So just don't overspend here. But again, if you have to spend up to $250 because things are selling out for Black Friday, of course, don't wait to buy your RAM, would be my biggest caveat here. Then I say go for it, because it's only another $30 or $40 and you're gonna get some other phenomenal values. For the storage, I went with the SK Hynix Platinum P41. You're like, why did you go with this one, Jason? 1 terabyte, $95. It has DRAM on it. It's roughly what the other DRAM drives are also selling for, and it's a super high performance drive. But I will say the reason I'm actually listing this is because in Newegg sales circular, they are saying that they're going to sell this around, I think, $79 around the 23rd. So just keep your eye out for some really good storage deals like this. But do note, storage is about $20 to $30 more per terabyte than it was a couple months ago. For the PC case, I went with the Antec C5 ARGB. Right now, it's not on sale too much. It's $114 with the promo code. But again, this is a case that often goes on sale. The all-white one's actually cheaper. That's the one that we used in our 9800X3D build. We absolutely loved it, although I will say the wiring drove me crazy. I had to actually rewire all the fans to kind of get a little bit better cable management, a little bit of cleaner look to it. But once I did, it's absolutely incredible case. It comes with 7 included ARGB fans, 7 included fans, and that 360 millimeter that we got is going to fit really nicely up top. And again, comes in white and black. For the PSU, we need about 1,000 watts for this build. Even if we got an RTX 5080, by the way, which obviously would go really well with this build, probably 1,000 watts will do us just fine. I went with the Montec Century 2 because it's $104. Montec is just absolutely killing it on the PSU market right now. A tier rated on the SPL PSU tier list, ATX 3.1. Honestly, what else do you really need? So for just about $1,800, before any serious discounts out there on the CPU, on our cooler, possibly on our motherboard, on the storage, on our PC case, or the PSU, you're getting a phenomenally performative 1440p or frankly 4K gaming PC that's just gonna crush every game that you throw at it. And it's got 32 gigs of system RAM. It's got an X3D CPU, so you really never need to worry about your next GPU upgrade. And it's got a powerful enough GPU to destroy the latest titles. Remember, all the builds are linked down in the video description. I'll also keep updating those lists as Black Friday goes on with the best sales that I can find right now. And I'll also include some additional great Black Friday deals that I'm seeing. If you got value out of this video, please give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. And we'll catch you on the next one.